Last time on Perfect World post-production, we built 54 full-size windmills and jammed them into the legs of this oil rig to generate almost 450,000 SU, which we're going to need for the mega factory we're building here. I then procrastinated and extended the elevators between floors and added storage, which didn't leave enough time to actually build the power control room on the platform, so that's something we're going to tackle today. But first, I want to tackle something else, and that is how slow the transport is from over here in Big Rig City back to Cliffside. I mean, we have this lovely monorail line, which is great. It works, even if it doesn't display the right information. But it takes about 2.5 to 3 minutes to do a round trip, which means every time I need to go back because I've forgotten to get something from storage, I end up either waiting around for ages or flying over there with my jetpack, which takes a couple of minutes. It's not the quickest thing in the world. Great for building, not good for traveling long distance. So there's one nice and easy thing we can do to double the speed that we go, and that is to add a second train on another schedule so that we've always got one going in each direction. And because I make schematics of all my builds for patrons, YouTube members, and Twitch subscribers, it means I can easily just blast another one of these trains into existence over here. So I have stolen that train's schedule, hence why we're flying back this time, just so he stays out of the way. Then what we're going to do is come over here, we're going to create new train, then we're going to grab a schematic, a table, a cannon, some gunpowder, and a clipboard to begin with. Make the schematic. Then we need to very carefully position it so that the station actually lines up with where the bogey is. So that needs to come back another block. See that blue line? That's where we need this bogey to be. So if we go this way, that should be exactly right. We'll put down a cannon, put the schematic into it, and see what we need. Here we go. Here's our material checklist. Let's give that to Piggo. Chuck everything into our backpack, and let's go see what we're missing. So we put our backpack there, chuck the clipboard back in. It's going to read what's in the backpack, and this is what we still need. Okay, not too bad. We can do this. Just going to take a little bit of crafting. I think I've got everything I need. Let's just chuck the material checklist in again and make sure. Yep, we've got ticks on everything. Let's build a second train. And just like that, we have another train. Although we do need conductors, so let's just get a couple of these guys. You on there, then put you on this one. Then we just need to duplicate this train schedule. We're actually going to skip the first stop here, and what we're going to do, because we want the trains to be kind of not following each other directly, we want to make sure that they're actually going when we want them to. And it would help if I actually assembled the train. It means we're going to need another train name. Let's go back to that other video and pick another name. And I think we're going to go with the Cliffside Clipper, which was suggested by Danny G4063. I like that name. Wow, it got dark while I was doing that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to drive the train all the way there ourselves. We'll stop it just outside the station. Then if we go over to this train, give him the schedule, he'll set off. And then if we leave it about 15-20 seconds for him to get to the other station, and then we send this one into Cliffside, they should end up roughly passing around that bend somewhere each time. So let's give this guy the schedule. He's going to pull into Big Rig City. And then when this train sets off, the other train should pull in about 20-30 seconds later, hopefully. What we're going to do is we're going to take a little ride on the train and just see whereabout they pass on the track. And it should be somewhere just around this bend, possibly on the diagonal bit, I think. Yeah, here we go, look. Perfect. And that looks awesome with two trains on it. All right, good. We can now get back here twice as fast. At least we'll be waiting around on the stations half as long. But I don't want to be relying on trains the whole time, so we're going to put in some alternative methods as well. And one of those methods is going to be this temporary portal, which is going to be quicker than the train. But the problem is, if I'm doing a time lapse, I don't want it to be loading and unloading the nether, because that makes it much harder to work with the replay mod files. I can't use the nether portal all the time, but it's probably going to be the quickest method. But there's still one more thing we can do. That, of course, is to get an elytra. That's probably going to be the best all-round method for traveling between Big Rig City and Cliffside, because it won't mess with the time lapses, and I won't have to wait for trains. Let's head back to storage and see if we've got enough ender eyes. I don't think we do. Pretty sure we used them all for those magnet upgrades. Oh, we've got one ender pearl. Great. But we've got the blaze rods we need. Gonna make a bunch of paper so we can make a bunch of rockets. They're gonna be handy to have. We'll take a few boats for hunting the Enderman. If we trap them in boats, they're much easier to get rid of. We do have a bow, but it doesn't have infinity on it. So let's just grab a bunch of arrows. We'll grab some cobble so we've got some blocks. And I should probably refill some of my fuel tanks for the jetpack, which should only take a moment. All right, I think we're ready. Ready to go hunt some Endermen, that is. And I believe the warped forest is on this bridge somewhere. Over this way. Yep, there it is. Right, let's go find some Endermen. And I'm not seeing a single one. Yep, there's no Enderman here whatsoever. Oh, no, there's one. Come here, you. 2 pearls from the first guy. Good start. Let's find some more. I'm sure I saw another one down here just as I flew in for that first one. Ah, there he is. And we got 3 from that guy. So much easier when you've got looting on your sword. Any more leggy bendy men? Where are you? And the warped forest does continue on this way. Let's have a look over here. There's one. Hello, sir. Would you like to get in my boat? Oh, thank you. 2 from that guy. Only 1 that time. 1 again. Well, we don't need many more. I think 16 will probably be enough. Oh, fortress here. Oh, it's a bit buried down here. That's cool. Not what we need right now, though, and this is a massive warped forest. There must be more Endermen around here. Ah, he didn't drop any. Stingy. There we go. We got 17. That should be enough. Alrighty, I think we have everything we need. It's time for an epic adventure. I say epic adventure, the dragon fights are quite boring, so I probably did a very quick cut of that. But this is the adventure part. Now we're looking for a city with a ship, and we've got pretty good render distance here, but I'm not seeing any cities. There was one right where we spawned in on the End Islands, but it didn't have a ship. There's a city, but it doesn't look like it has a ship. In fact, it doesn't look like much of a city at all. We will quickly rob it, though, because there's armor trims we can get from here. Oh, and diamonds. No armor trim. Let's carry on. Now, if I understand correctly, the way structures spawn in Minecraft is usually in a grid pattern. Let's pick a direction and just fly in a straight line, and hopefully we'll find more cities. Aha, the city. And it has a boat. There it is. Our first elytra. So now we have that, we can, of course, make our journey quicker between the oil rig and cliffside. But why stop there? Because we can make ornithopter gliders, which are just much more fitting with Create. But to make these, we need wing mesh. And to make wing mesh, we need elytra pieces. To get elytra pieces, we crush an elytra, and we'll get 1 piece. Maybe another if we're lucky. And potentially some phantom membrane. But we need 7 pieces of this wing mesh. So ideally, we're going to need 7 elytra just to guarantee that we've got what we need. Other than that, it's just some basic things like brass nuggets, cogwheels, and ropes. But yeah, we're going to need another 6 elytra. The problem is, look how far we've traveled just to find this city. But it does look like there's another one over there. So we'll start our search there, we'll fly around, and hopefully we'll get all the elytra we need. So let's put that on and take our first flight. There's that city. No boat, though. Another city. Once again, no boat. Not really having much luck here, are we? This is fast becoming a game of how many cities can I find that don't have boats. Well, I've found all the ships, and once we get all 3 of these, that's going to make a grand total of 8 elytra, which is more than we needed, but also just in the nick of time, because I've only got 15 fireworks left. Well, we're up to 11 elytra now. I keep stumbling across more cities, even though currently I really want to actually get an exit. I'm looking for an end gateway, but I've run out of rockets, so we're back to our jetpack now. And there's another city, which means we're about to get another elytra. After struggling to find them for so long, they're everywhere now. Oh, there's an end gateway. In fact, there's 2. That means we can finally go back and make this ornithopter thing. And then make a start on the power control room, which is actually the whole point of today. So we're going to need rope. We're going to need a lot of white wool. Or maybe we should do light grey, actually. We're going to need brass nuggets, some cogs, shafts, andesite casings, and slabs. Alright, that should be everything. Apart from the fact that I need a very odd-shaped crafting grid for this. Let's grab a whole bunch of mechanical crafters, some shafts. We've got some gearboxes and things, and let's just quickly build a temporary crafter. We'll do that over here where it's easy to steal some power. So we need 1, then we need 3, then we need 5, then we need 7, and 3 more on top. Then it's just power, and that should be easy enough if we just use some encased chain drives here, here, and here. And it's not overstressed, which I really thought it would be. Right, so it's brass, slab, brass, cog, rope, shaft, andesite casing with slabs. And then I just need the wing mesh stuff, which I get from the elytras, which means I need to crush them down. So the elytra have been crushed, and it turns out you actually get 2 wing mesh for each one of these, so I didn't need anywhere near as many elytra. I definitely didn't need to crush down so many. But it's fine, it's fine. As long as we get what we want. Oh, yes, look at that. So if I put that on, yeah, look at that. That looks cool. Whoa! It's huge. I need more rockets, though. So if we need rockets, let's grab all this gunpowder we've got. But to make paper, we're going to need tree bark, because we don't have any sugarcane. We might actually already have a little bit in here. Let's put those logs in and get some more. So I believe this works the same as sugarcane. Yep, we can just get paper like that. We do that. We can get fireworks. 228 fireworks, in fact. But once we get more bark, we'll be able to make more. But now, though, let's check out our new wings. Oh, yes. That is so cool. Oh, and when I hold down space, it's doing something. Oh. Oh, we can actually boost ourselves. Oh, how cool is that? If we hold down space, we've got like a little timer at the bottom, look. So we don't even need rockets. Yeah, that's well cool. It's like a built-in rocket boost if you get it timed right. Question is, can you take off from the ground? I mean, yes. It wasn't very easy, but it's doable. This thing's awesome. I love it. But anyway, we now have 3 modes of travel to get back there. We've got the nether portal, we've got our flyy wing things, and we've now got a couple of trains running on this line. In fact, you should see the other one coming any second now. Any second now. Train? We've been procrastinating for long enough. Let's make a start on this power station. I'm going to start by choosing a random spot and starting to place some bricks. And I don't think I want this build to be massive. I'm just kind of picturing a brick sort of box here, maybe something sticking out the side. We could even potentially get a few water wheels on or something. And then we'll cram a bunch of stuff inside. But putting it here, it means we're going to have to remove a whole bunch of this wall. There we go, the wall is gone. Let's just build this up a little bit. There's something like that with 2 big windows at the bottom. Let's maybe put in a few walls here and get some glass in, and we'll see how that looks. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. I like that. And maybe we should get some kind of floor divider in. Now the question is, how far this way do we want it to go? I mean, it doesn't need to be a massive building, so maybe just something like this. Yeah, I think this sort of size should work, although I think I want to have a sticky out bit on this side, but maybe in a different block. Don't really have any different blocks. Maybe let's just mark it out with these for now. Something that sort of size, maybe. Let's just get the main part of the building up, and then we'll figure out what block we want to do that bit in. Well, I've run out of bricks, so we're going to have to wash a whole lot more sand to get a whole lot more clay. We're not doing a time lapse, so I can go through the nether and get back much quicker than we used to be able to. Oh, the system works. But yeah, we need to wash a whole lot of sand. We don't have much sand. We have 384. Do we have much in the temporary factory? I'm sure we had like over 100,000 at some point. We have 0. Okay, great. And we have 0 there. Let's just stand here and siphon up loads of this gravel. Let's grab all that gravel. We're going to turn that into sand. And while that's happening, we'll figure out what blocks we want to build the other parts of the brick building out of. And I'll tell you what, these two do actually go quite well together. Maybe we should use sandstone bricks? Does mean we're going to need more sand. But to be honest, we might have some of those left over. 59, that's not a lot, but we can make some more. We've got some smooth sandstone and some normal sandstone. We can't do anything in this table with the smooth sandstone, so let's get rid of that. We can make more of these bricks though. That should be enough. We'll get some sanded sandstone as well. And a little bit of eroded. How's our sand coming along over here? Making progress, but we've still got a bit to go. Now we'll wash all the sand into clay balls, put the clay balls into bricks, and then turn all those into brick blocks. And we got 4 stacks from all that gravel. That's crazy. And let's take a nice flight back, shall we? And now we can get the rest of this building's shell in place. Right, that's the big square blocky bit in. Let's maybe make the roof a little bit nicer here. Maybe let's have a little sticky outy bit at the front as well. We're going to stick some copycat slabs on the front here, just to make it a bit more 3D. That should look cool. And we'll worry about making the front of this look better later. For now, let's chuck a roof on, and we're going to have a rooftop garden again over here. Because although this is going to be a big sort of factory place, I do still want to have kind of solar punk elements, as if it's been converted from a heavy industrial area to make it a little bit more green. So we are, of course, going to have things like windmills and solar panels. And in fact, it might be quite nice to get a windmill over here on this building, as opposed to just out at sea. And what with this being a power station, we could even potentially do quite a big wind turbine, maybe? Maybe that's what this little building here could be. It could be like an engine room for a turbine that sticks out the top. That could be quite cool. Not a turbine as big as the ones we've got at sea, but just a cool little thing. Right, we'll worry about making the roof look nice later. For now, let's work out the building down here. And first off, we're going to need a hole so that we can actually connect the buildings together. I don't think I want these blocks running along the bottom. We're just going to dive straight in with the sandstone. And then I need a block to go around the top of this thing. And I think what we're going to use is the industrial plating just to tie it into the platform nicely. And then for the roof, let's maybe make some smooth slabs. And we could have a little entranceway here. Okay, so for a basic shape, I'm fairly happy with that. How's it look from back here? Smaller than I thought it was going to, but if we did put like a big wind turbine on here, give it some verticality, stick some water wheels on the side of this bit, what we could even do actually is have the water sort of run out of the building as if it's being pumped up through the tubes, go over the water wheels, run along a channel, and potentially have a massive waterfall going off the side. That could look awful or it could look good, but we may as well give it a go. Got a bunch of stuff. Let's see what we can do over here. I think I want to start with the water wheels. What I'm thinking is if we put in a channel, we literally have it stick over the side of the platform here. Something like this. Then we'll chuck in a bunch of water wheels. Then let's get those framed in. In fact, probably do something cool with some of these. Then we're going to want to block this bit out here. We're going to need to dig a hole in the wall. Then on the inside here, maybe just something like that. And then we can have some pipes running down the walls to make it look like all the water's being pumped up. And if we put water in that, how's it going to look when it gets to the edge of the platform? That's what I want to know. Well, the short answer is it doesn't reach the end of the platform. Not to worry, we can change that. Now, how's that going to look? I mean, it is quite cool, but that water is dropping a really long way, so I think we need to do some of that weird glass magic that builders much better than myself can do to make this look like it's all sort of frothing up and stuff. But I like the idea. It just doesn't look quite right yet. We'll save that as a project for later, though. For now, how about turning them a different color? Oh, that's better. They stand out much more. Do, however, want to block this bit here off. Yeah, I think I like that. What do we do with this little platform here, though? Got an idea. Let's remove all of this walkway, or at least the railings. Let's get rid of this bit here, put in a ladder. And how about we turn this into a nice green area? And we could do with a splash of color on the platform, so let's maybe use some acacia trapdoors on the sides. Get some walkway bars on this trough type thing that we've got. Add lots of bone meal. And we'll add some dangly leaves as well. I think that'll look quite cool. Just something like that. I think that's looking pretty good. It's looking a lot more naturey over here now as well with the water and the flowers. So let's maybe carry that on and sort out the roof up here. Starting with bone meal spam. And I think up here we want to have a couple of solar panels, but let's have a quick nap first. Let's start by just raising them up and sticking a little bar in. Then we'll get a shaft and some brackets to hold the panels themselves. And then we're just going to spam a whole bunch of these up here. Maybe 5 wide, and overhanging the edge by 1. And we'll turn all these blue, because I think it looks a bit better than the white. Glue it all together there, and then we'll glue the underside just up to here. Stick on a valve handle, set that to 33 degrees, why not? Set that to only place when anchor destroyed, and tilt it towards the sun. Yeah, that's the south. That makes sense. And then we'll just repeat that by sticking another one of those in right here. Yep, they look pretty nice. I like that. Now I think we should tackle putting in a wind turbine of some kind here. We're going to start right here with a block of andesite with a windmill bearing on top. So I think if we were to start the windmill about there, maybe have it about that tall, not gonna be too much. I mean, if we imagine that as a spinning turbine from like here all the way up to here, I think that could look quite good. We are gonna have some other tall buildings here. In fact, one of the very first buildings we build is gonna need to be quite a tall building, and we'll probably get taller over time because it's gonna be the cobble farm. And we're gonna need a whole lot of cobble generators. So yeah, let's just go big. So to start with, I think we're gonna get the blades in. That seems to make the most sense to me. Let's do the blades 3 blocks high. And we're going to do similar to what we did on the big ocean ones we have over there. I think I'm just going to sort of go round in a big spiral and see how it looks. And I'm going to use these light grey glass panes to sort of attach everything, because otherwise when we try and glue it, it's just not going to work. Now, height-wise, maybe that's enough. Yeah, that feels about right. And let's just repeat that on this side. Yeah, that's looking good. It needs a bit of colour though, but I prepared for this by making a whole bunch of warped trapdoors. And we're just going to spam these on the top here and underneath. Yeah, that's better. Now to sort out the central column here. I think what I'm going to use is a combination of andesite walls and polished andesite blocks. We want to have sort of connection struts in the middle of all of these panels of 3. So that's where I'm using the shiny blocks. We're just going to do that all the way up to the top. And we're just going to stick maybe an andesite bar on there. Lovely. Now for the struts that actually come out, I think I want to use more warped wood, but I need stripped warped wood. And the warped stem I've got with me is currently unstripped, so let's just go back to our workshop and get that fixed up. And these wings are absolutely amazing. I love them. But if we just chuck our warped stem in there, that's going to get stripped for us and go into this chest, and then we can use it. Right, now we have some stripped warped hyphae. Now what I'm thinking is we'll use these beam blocks, just have them going across from all of these. Yep, looking good. Although, I feel like the blade still needs a bit more. And I feel like the whole thing's maybe a bit high as well, which could potentially be a little bit lower down. But once we've glued the whole thing together, we could just grab a piston and push it lower. So let's not worry about that too much right now. But color on these blades. What if we did that, then used a copycat slab? So let's just do that all the way down and see how it looks. Yeah, I like that. Doesn't change too much, but makes it more interesting. So now let's glue the whole thing together and maybe lower it by a few blocks. Right, I think I've got the whole thing glued together. It's a bit of a mess, but it should do the trick. But I need to go get myself a mechanical piston. But the good news is it means I get to fly again. Right, so let's put this piston on top. Give it a few extension poles. Put a crank on there. Push it down. And it doesn't look like we left anything behind, which is good. And height-wise, that looks much better. So if we put the windmill bearing in there, connect those together, it should start spinning. Excellent. Yeah, that looks cool. I like that. What I don't like is this. We need to fix this. And I think I want to have it sort of wider at the bottom, but just slowly getting narrower as it goes up. So let's start by blocking out the bottom a bit wider. And I don't think I want the column to be andesite, but that's why I brought this, the sanded diorite. Let's maybe go a few blocks of that. Then we could use copycat layers, maybe. So how does that look? I mean, it's kind of the effect I was after. Maybe it just needs to be a little bit thicker, and that will also stop that poking out. I've got an idea. To give it a bit more definition, let's try something. So we need to use bite blocks there so that we can have an andesite bit there, and then maybe something like this. Yeah, that looks quite cool, actually. I like that. So let's just repeat that on every side. Yeah, that's really cool. I like that. That fits well. Certainly adds to the power theme over here. Now, I just want to improve the front of this building here, and I'm thinking some leaves hanging down, maybe some window boxes, and just swapping out a few of these blocks for granite and cracked bricks. Should help mix it up nicely. And then we'll get to work on the inside. We're probably going to want a door around about here, I'd imagine. Nope. Too much wall there. We've got plenty of space in here for a big power board, some switches, and a bunch of decoration. And this bit out here needs a bit of work as well. So maybe we should jump into a quick time lapse just while I put some finishing touches on the outside. And I'll bring you back in once we're ready to sort out the interior. Well, apparently I forgot to actually hit record when I was doing the interior, so you probably saw all of that in the time-lapse, I imagine, assuming the replay actually saved. So that's the bad news, but I'll give you a tour of the inside in a minute, but the outside is looking pretty good. You may notice I put in a couple of lazy trees there. I do intend on making custom trees, but I'll be honest, I just don't have the time right now. I'm about to go away for the week, and I've had to pre-record this video. I mean, the last one hasn't even gone out yet, and I've almost finished this one. So that being said, what I have done is gone back to the video that has currently been released, which is the one where I made the platform under here, and I asked you for names for Big Rig City, and the majority of you actually quite liked the name Big Rig City, so I think we're going to stick with that. But I must give an honourable mention to the suggestion by Saw Painter, who suggested Rig Astley. Nice. And I could have called the train the Rig Roller, but as amusing as that name was, I've decided to stick with something a bit more normal. Now, as we head inside, we'll go in on the ground floor. We've taken a small chunk out of this area here for this kind of little structure type thing. So this is all the pipes that are bringing up the water, that's then making the waterfall and the power up there work. I mean, it's not actually doing that, of course, but that's how we made it look. And then on this side is where we're actually bringing up the power from down below. We've got a clutch here, so we can actually turn off the entire factory if we want to, just with one flick of a switch. We'll get to those in a minute. But in here, I've also got my stressometers with the display links, which link to a board upstairs, and just a bunch of stuff spinning. And then that power comes out here, and I can then use it anywhere I need to on the rig. If we go up these stairs here, we've then got a giant board that's showing us what power we've used, what we've got available, and how much we have in total, as well as this, the wall of switches. So each one of these switches will be linked up to a factory. We'll be able to put what it is at the bottom. This is actually the main shut-off, so if we flick this switch, you can see the light come on, and the power stops. And this is all controlled via this bit out the back where we've just got a bunch of redstone links, nicely tucked away. And in this room, I've just dumped a load of storage stuff in it because why not? And we do still have a bunch of space here, but there's something I want to do with some of the space around here, or at least something I want to experiment with. But we're going to save that for a future episode because sadly we are out of time here today. But thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye now.